Leading Britain's conversation. Ian Dale. Tweet at LBC.
It's 11:35. Now, if you've been listening to my evening programme over the past week, and if not, I want to know why not, 7 to 10, Monday to Thursday, we've been talking a lot about Hong Kong and China. And I've written a piece on my website, if you want to have a look at it, at iandale.com, talking about what I think the consequences of this Chinese action in Hong Kong will be. And I think Britain is going to experience a massive cyber attack from China at some point because of our what they see as our interference in Hong Kong, where we've offered sanctuary to 2.9 million Hong Kong people. China carried out a massive state-sponsored cyber attack on Australia about 3 weeks ago. And it's quite clear that the cyber attack came from them. And if they can do it to Australia, they will try and do it to us. A lot of the cyber attacks that we get in this country are from China anyway. There's China, Russia and North Korea are the three countries where most of UK-oriented cyber attacks come from. How do I know that? I've been quite cryptic in this article, but I will tell you, partly because David Cameron has also written about it in his autobiography. I went on a visit to GCHQ about 3 years ago. And in their operations room, they have a screen which shows where cyber attacks are coming from, literally on a day-by-day basis. And 95% of the attacks on Britain come from those three countries. So we should be aware of that. I think there's also going to be a consequence that the 120,000 Chinese students that attend UK universities, I suspect that number will drop, which will be absolutely critical for the survival of some UK universities. But in my view, our relationship with China has to be reset after what they've done, not just in Hong Kong, but to the Uyghur Muslims. Brilliant article by Nick Cohen in The Observer on that today. And also Taiwan, you look at the Indian border skirmishes that have taken place. And then we come to Huawei and their involvement in the 5G network in this country. Well, the main story, the lead story, the splash on the front page of the Sunday Telegraph, it's reporting that the government is preparing to end Huawei's involvement in 5G. They say the Prime Minister has reassessed the risks of employing Huawei, and Conservative backbenchers have also turned against them. Well, let's talk to Emily Taylor. She's Chief Executive of Oxford Information Labs and Associate Fellow at Chatham House. Emily, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Ian.
Reading this Sunday Telegraph story, do you think that Huawei are going to be ditched, or do you think there is a way back for them? Because they have some very powerful people speaking on their behalf in this country, don't they?
They do, and this is a much more interesting story than a straight technical purchasing decision ought to be. It's been going on for the last couple of years, and at the same time as you've got the motivation from the Tory backbenchers, you have a renewed review from the intelligence services. But also last week, Huawei was given leave to open a £1 billion semiconductor research centre in Cambridge. So there's a lot of mixed signals, and while there may be a decision to harden the attitude against Huawei, there's still a very practical problem about how you deal with the great dependence that we already have on Huawei equipment in our existing 4G infrastructure. So are we going to be ripping that out, or are we going to be phasing it out?
See, that's quite interesting, because if the government announced that they were literally cutting off Huawei's involvement in 5G, and then Huawei turned around and said, OK, well, if you do that, we're going to withdraw all our cooperation into 4G and 3G. Now, the government would then say, see, told you so. That's the kind of attitude which is why we've ditched you for 5G. But what would the technological effects be of them effectively going on strike on 4G?
Well, I don't. What I had in mind was not so much as Huawei going on strike, but the plight of the mobile operators who own the equipment, who buy the equipment. 5G will be sitting on top of existing 4G infrastructure. And if about 30 or 40% of that is already Huawei, what are those mobile operators going to do? Are they going to all rip it out of the ground, or are they going to have to phase it out as they do a sort of, the standard replacement thing? That's what I was thinking of. But yes, as you say, that one of the issues that has been raised again and again in this debate is the sort of how far can you trust a company that its critics say is too close to the Chinese government if it's providing critical infrastructure. And I think we've all been really contemplating supply chain security over the last few months as we've seen strange shortages of things that we've, just ordinary groceries, household goods, toilet paper. You think, well, where does all this stuff come from? And I think this has really gone into the consciousness during the pandemic because, and as you said in your opening remarks, tensions around Hong Kong, the offer of safe harbour to Hong Kong citizens provoked very sharp response in words from China, and the stakes in this just seem to be going up and up and up.
Emily, thank you for joining us. I'm sure we'll speak again on this in the next few weeks and months. That's Emily Taylor from Oxford Information Labs. Right, back to you.